Hi, in this video we're going to have a look at making a black and white out of the scene from North Wales. This is a quarry or a slate mine up in the sort of Blaenau Festiniog sort of area. So the first thing I'd probably do is have a look at the levels on this. So if you have a quick look at the histogram at the top right here, it's pretty underexposed. So I'm just going to add some exposure looking at the histogram. I'm going to move it so about there maybe. But look at this, there's nothing burning, there's nothing too black there. The black bits are going to be these big nets which are caused by the filter holder on the Coking Z Pro system. Right, so let's get rid of those for a start then. So I'm going to crop, so this bottom left hand corner is coming out of the tracks coming out of that corner there, and I think I'll do a similar thing at this top corner. So maybe put it so that's coming out there. So a quick check and see there's no black in this corner, there's no black in that. I might come down a little bit just to maybe there. So if you see now we've got lots of strong lines here. We've got this line coming out of the bottom left, a nice line of slate wall going up from the bottom right, and the line of the hill, and they're all converging on this tree. So before I do anything else, what I will probably do, because I'm going to do black and white, is just hit the black and white. And there you go. So it's looking pretty cool compared to the original coloured shot. So you can add a bit of contrast there. What I'm going to do is press the Alt key down and drag the blacks this way a little bit. So we've got some genuine full-on dark areas in the shot, and the same thing with the whites. So we've got some streams and bits of water. You can see those little white bits there. That's just a flood stream coming down the hill. So as we're in Lightroom, we can play around with the separate black and white channels. So if we grab hold of this little dot here, whatever we click on and drag up will brighten, so that's the blue sky there. Or if you want to go quite dramatic, you can darken it down like that. So let's just have a little play and see what happens if we lighten up the field, and then if we darken it, you see what happens there. Obviously the extremes either way aren't particularly great, so we've got an option really. We can either have sort of slightly darker grass and make something of this fence. See how that's standing out now, and you can see the path here is also standing out. Or we can go the other way and have everything quite bright. So I think just for the sake of a demo, let's just bring this down a bit like that. So now the slate, let's just see what happens if we move a slate. The slates are a similar colour to the grass, so if we use this tool on the slates, look, it's brightening and darkening the surroundings at the same time. So one thing to be wary of when you're doing this kind of thing, let's just have a quick look at this edge up here. Let's see what's happened. Because we've darkened the blue sky quite a bit, we're getting this little, what's called halo happening. So you can see I'm just playing with the blue slider there, and it gets a little bit noisy as well. So let's just see if we can do something about that. Okay, so we've got a start point there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do something with this lovely fence we've got here, made out of slate. So I'm going to maybe, let's just put it so it's really, really bright so we can see where we're going. Ooh, crikey, that's a bit much, so Control Z undoes it. Obviously, if you're doing it properly, you could spend a lot of time with the auto mask on and go around each one like this, so you just get in the actual slate and not the surroundings. But we're on a little tutorial here, so I don't want to spend too long doing this because you'll all get really bored. But you can see the sort of general idea, can't you? Sort of draw it on. Maybe get some of these top bits in. There's a tall one there, isn't there? Okay. So the idea of what we're doing here is to make this fence stand out. So let's press the Alt key to get the negative, so it's removing bits which have flown over. Okay, so let's do something more sensible now. Right, so a bit of clarity and sharpness makes things stand out quite a bit, but also I think if we pull those highlights up like that, now I can just toggle on and off to see what it's like before and after. So we want it to be subtle enough that people looking at it won't go, geez, that looks a bit fake. So let's just apply the same thing to the road. So what this is going to do, it's going to bring out all those pebbles. You can see it's actually having a bigger effect as the sharpness on the road. And it's also bringing out the highlights. Like that. Okay, let's hit done. So I'm going to go back to our black and white slider and just darken down the grass a bit more. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Right, so one thing with having all this dark grass is the sky starts to look a bit bright, so I'm going to get a grad tool and drag the grad tool over the sky and bring it down a bit, just so it balances up and maybe goes a bit more moody. If you're going to go black and white on this kind of scene, you might as well get a bit of mood in there. Looking at it, you don't want it to be much darker than the actual foreground because it looks a bit fake, but maybe something like that. Okay, and we've added quite a lot of clarity up there, so one thing you can do is go to the edge of the hill and just, I'll show you what I'm doing. I'm just going to draw negative clarity on the edge. The reason for this is I don't really want any halos, any, you know, glowy edges on there, so I'm just drawing across it and dial in some negative clarity. Hit done, and it's, has it left a bit of a, no, I think that's fine. I thought it might have left a bit of a lighter sort of area here, like a stripe of low clarity, but it's not done. Okay, so our focal point's up here, so what I might do for the focal point is just get ourselves one of these lovely new radial things and get the centre of it over there, that sort of area. Now everything on the inside of that circle is going to be affected and everything on the outside isn't, so let's just slightly brighten it up like that. So there's clarity, a bit of sharpness, a bit more exposure, and it's just brought it up into sort of sharper focus. Another thing I want to do, because this area over here is quite flat, I'm going to get the pen tool again, and I'm going to go for contrast. Where's contrast at? There we are, contrast. I'm going to increase the highlights and just do a quick brush over this general area here. I just want to make it a little bit more punchy because when we darkened it down it went a little bit on the dead side. So we switch the mask off, and now let's just maybe bring the shadows down so those dark areas look dark. That's where the clouds are passing. And this area over here, let's get that a bit bright, maybe a bit more clarity. Now clarity can make it look a bit strange, but you can see it's added quite a lot of drama darkening that down, which sort of makes the road and the fence stand out a little bit more. Okay, so it's okay that. So I think it's one of these where a vignette may add to the mood, so let's just slide down. Let's just, actually, as we're passing, let's have a look at what happened with a bit of split toning, maybe a bit of sepia toning if we just went down for a very low yellow, or a bit of a cyan tone if we go for these blues, or a cool tone. I'm not going to do anything with it, I just like to have a quick look. One thing I do like is adding blues to the shadows. Blues to the shadows and yellows to the highlights is quite a good mix. Like that. Yeah, I'm going to leave it like that, quite like it. Okay, so we've already done quite a bit of sharpening with our pen tool before, so I'm not going to do that. All the things I wanted to sharpen, I've sharpened separately. If I look at this road now, you can see how that's pretty darn sharp already. Okay, I'm not going to add any noise reduction because it was at ISO 100, so it should be any noise there. We've got the automatic profile correction things which you may as well use, and finally we're down to the highlight priority vignette. So my usual sort of thing is to feather it to 100 so you get a lovely smooth transition. Bring the vignette down too much so it's really too dark, and then you can slide the midpoint to see where. Yeah, you can see what's happening there. You just change the size of the midpoint like that, and then slide the amount back and just add in a tasteful amount. There we go. Now if you wanted to add in a little bit of film effect, you could put the grain in here, see what it does. Gives it much more filmic kind of style, but I'm not going to do that. So that is a quick run through of a black and white with some nice duotoning going on in there as well. So let's just have a look at the original. So I've created a duplicate. I'm going to reset it. So that's the start point, and that is your end point. Right, well thanks for watching that. Hope it's been useful.